Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this one, we are checking out, this is my first top tier video, and it is, of course, on the newest addition to the American Air Tree. It's the F-15 Eagle. So, it honestly has been a pretty decent top tier experience with this thing, especially when you compare it to the F-16 and the F-14, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for that, but meh, it's all right. I think the F-15 is better anyways. But really, there are some good kills in this video, but I also kind of wanted to show a little bit what it was like to just fly a game of top tier. So right there, that was an AIM-7M, and sometimes with the most recent missile patch, they can be a little bit iffy. It really just depends on altitude and your enemy's direction and where you are. If you're familiar with radar and radar missiles, you'll kind of know what I'm saying. But it's not too bad of a missile. And then you, of course, have the AIM-9M, which is honestly quite the beast. Smokeless, it has IRCCM, and it can pull 30 Gs. So it doesn't have thrust vectoring like the R-73, but really I haven't had that much of an issue getting kills with the AIM-9M. So the only way that you can even really dodge it is if you cut your afterburners, start immediately changing what direction you're going and dumping a crap ton of flares. And thank God that the F-15 has a lot of them, because you end up dumping quite a bit. Now, listen, shout out to my green guy in this clip here. This was going to be a very, very good dogfight with an enemy F-15, even though I kept blacking out. It would have been good. But listen, if you are going to go into a game of top tier and try to launch an unflareable missile at an enemy when you have a teammate within 400 meters of that enemy, please, for the love of God, don't launch the missile. And we lost that game because the dude got kicked for team killing. So you run into that quite a lot. I don't know if some people are just absolutely brain dead or really what the deal is, but you know, don't launch missiles into a furball. It doesn't matter if it's a 7M, a 9M, a 9L, what have you. Anyways, so like I said, I've had a better experience with the F-15 compared to the F-16 and the F-14, just because I feel like the aircraft itself suits my needs as a player more than the other two do. So with the F-15, wow, it's like 1:15 a.m. on Friday, so brain fart. The F-16 is, F-15A is a dedicated fighter with 9Ls, which, they're meh, all aspects, but no IRCCM. And then the F-14 has Phoenixes, which hit only about 5% of the time. And you have AIM-7Fs, which are really going to be your most reliable missile, because other than that, and as far as IR missiles go, you have the AIM-9G, or AIM-9D, G, and H. So they're all basically the same missile, kind of. The AIM-9D doesn't have an uncaged seeker, but the G and the H do. So with the Tomcat, you are almost a little bit limited to using only radar missiles, even though you can, and I'm of course talking about the F-14A, but your most effective missile is going to be the AIM-7Fs. And then with the F-16, it's of course, the AIM-9L, because why would you bring AIM-9Js to top tier? Now, the F-15 really just fits perfectly in between them, and I mean, I feel like it was a great addition because it starts to serve a greater part of the player base that doesn't really want a missile bus that only has effective radar missiles, and they don't really want a dedicated fighter. So that's where the F-15 comes in. You know, 4 IR missiles, 4 radar missiles, and the radar is, on par with top tier. They're all getting similar, and we don't really have all of the features that a radar would have in real life, like the ability to track and engage multiple targets at one time. We can only do one at a time right now in War Thunder. But, maybe that'll be a decent change. So the next thing I want to go over is the RWR and the radar. So the RWR, you're going to have to get used to looking at it quite a bit. It kind of has IFF. Sometimes it's a little bit sketchy, but most of the time it's going to be pretty helpful. And you'll have almost all of the aircraft designations on your RWR, where they're pinging you, and it's fairly accurate and helpful for evading R-27s, which apparently is the current best missile in the game. So, have your RWR. Need to make sure that you are watching that quite a bit, and then you have your radar itself. So you have, I'm going to look 1 second. Okay, just for reference, if you guys are trying to find out information about radar or radar specific to an aircraft, the War Thunder Wiki surprisingly does not provide very great information on that. So with the F-15, you have your search pulse Doppler, search pulse Doppler head-on, and search pulse Doppler velocity in just your normal search mode. Every time I'm flying it, I just leave it in just normal search pulse Doppler, and I haven't had an issue. Oh my god, my cats. I have not had an issue locking targets whatsoever. So they did make chaff a little stronger, or just made radars a little less or pulse Doppler specifically a little less resistant towards chaff. So, once again, depending on the angle, your radar and your missile can be chaffed away, but rarely your AIM-7M will continue on course. Sometimes it'll just lose track of the target and explode. Other times it goes into the ground. It's a very hit and miss weapon, really. But anyways, if you really want to be effective with the F-15's radar, you need to make sure that you have all of your keybinds set up. If you have a Logitech mouse, I have my lock radar on target and switch radar / IRST to beyond visual range. So it'll switch it to the pulse Doppler acquire mode, which is just that little tiny square that you see around your crosshair. Those are the two that I have bound to my mouse buttons, but if you have a number pad, it's super easy to bind them all over there, and you'll get used to it. I did it for a while. But yeah, the radar is great, and you, of course, have EEGS. But, I mean, when you're talking about a top-tier vehicle, especially like the F-15, this is a multi-role missile bus. I mean, that's just the gist of it. It can dogfight. It can play as a strike aircraft, kind of. I don't think it has rockets. I don't play ground and I don't ground pound, so I don't know. It has bombs for people who would like to grind bombs, although you're really not contributing to the team winning as much as just dogfighting and getting good at dogfighting. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. You're not really going to be gunfighting very much in it. It's mostly going to be missiles and learning how to evade those missiles and fire your own back. Oh yeah, there's an AIM 7M that just went all willy-nilly all over the place. But yeah, so top tier very quickly becomes a game of who can get their missile off first and who can or can't dodge the missile that you just launched. Wow. But yeah, like I said, better than the F-16, better than the F-14. Radar is pretty much on par with the F-14, although it's lacking a track while search mode, so that's kind of meh. But I can't really complain too much about that because I only use the track while search on that F-15A when I have Phoenixes. So yeah, the radar kind of situational on how you will need to use it, whether you are just selecting a specific target or if it's just a lone guy right here, just use your acquire mode. It's way easier. And also make sure that you remember to slave your 9Ms to your radar. So if a target is flaring a lot and you don't want that 9M to immediately lose lock, you can slave it to radar. I think this is a Gripen here. Gripens aren't fast, but they can turn like hell. So if you get a 7M on him from way up high or even a 9M, it doesn't really matter. Any missile is going to blow pretty much anything out of the sky. I mean, the amount of crits that you're going to get, it will be minimal. There are lots of fires and... Damn, guys. And lots of large explosions. The other important thing I would say is if you're going to perform a flank, which is what Mechanicum and I do in about 95% of games, unless we get a down tier, make sure that you turn your radar off and, just keep a close eye on your RWR. That will kind of let you go radio silent. You're not going to be pinging other planes, so they won't know where you are unless they get you on their radar specifically. And on a map like the Kamcha, sorry, I'm not real great at pronouncing things like that, but it's like Camacha or something like that. This one right here, you have plenty of mountains, and it has a wide variety of terrain that you can hide in and really use to your advantage. So that's something you'll just catch onto with time, and you guys will get the hang of it. But yeah, I feel like the F-15 is a great addition, and it fills a very much needed role within the American tech tree and just adds something new. And oh my god, yeah, the wing ripping, someone told me this in game chat. If you have 20 minutes or less of fuel, you're less likely to rip your wings. Jeez Louise. If you're pulling high G maneuvers, especially if you have boosters. So I've just been running the 2 external fuel tanks and 20 minutes of fuel. Drop the tanks as soon as I get to the battlefield, and the engines are fuel efficient enough to get you through most things. But just make sure that you're not trying to pull some crazy maneuvers with your tanks still attached. Otherwise, you're the wingtips will just snap off. And I think that's due to maybe just fuel being in the wings, you know, because there's fuel tanks in there. And it just kind of distributes the weight a little bit weird. But with that, we're going to wrap it up, guys. So if you enjoyed my first top tier video, make sure you leave a like and a comment and subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.